Made really bad deals, poor deals back then. Yeah, right. It's just, it is what it is. And you know, you move on, you learn.
I'm guessing you have not read that, or have you?
I've read excerpts.
This guy's such a
Saved by the Bell was one of the most popular shows of its time, but one particular scene changed everything. Was it just too controversial, or was there more happening behind the scenes? Here's a closer look at the infamous moment that ultimately led to the show's end, along with insights from cast members and the legacy it left behind. But before we get into that wild moment, you won't believe what went down behind the scenes. Stick around to find out how one over-the-top scene nearly ended it all. Trust me, you don't want to miss this ride down memory lane. The infamous scene that took Saved by the Bell off the air. Let's rewind a bit, all the way back to 1988. Before we had our favorite crew at Bayside, there was Good Morning Miss Bliss. It starred Hayley Mills as Miss Bliss, a middle school teacher with a heart of gold. The main focus of this show was actually on the lives of the kids in her class. It had potential, but despite its charm, the show just couldn't resonate, and after one season, it was ultimately cancelled. Here's the kicker. Saved by the Bell was originally meant to be a spin-off, focusing on the same characters but in high school. They wanted to try it again, but no one had faith it would work. And yet, it did. Big time. Everyone assumed Saved by the Bell would be a flop. After all, it was a spin-off from a show that had already failed. The network didn't have high hopes, and many critics thought it would be cancelled fast. But it surprised everyone. It became the teen show of the 90s. So, what made Saved by the Bell stand out? Let's take a quick look at the cast that made this show unforgettable. First up, Zach Morris, played by Mark Paul Gosselaar. Did you know that the actor behind the cool guy was the complete opposite in real life? Hard to think of Zach in real life as a timid, shy nerd, but he definitely was not the popular guy from the show. Mark Paul was more on the introverted side, and he had to work hard to channel the inner cool for this character, Zach. Plus, that signature blonde hair, totally fake.
When they sent me the notes on you last night, it said that you dyed your hair blonde for every single episode. I was like, so every day you dye your hair blonde?
Like, I can't believe I have hair now.
Mark Paul was so worried about the bleach ruining his hair, he never expected it to survive the whole series. Then there's AC Slater, played by Mario Lopez. Originally, Slater was supposed to be a street-smart army brat, but when Mario landed the role, the writers switched things up and made him a Latin American character. This shift turned Mario into a star, and Slater became the guy every fan loved to hate, or hated to love.
I didn't even know I had a mullet. It was like an unintentional mullet.
Almost every guy at Bayside High, and let's be real, a lot of fans watching at home had a huge crush on Kelly Kapowski, played by Tiffany Amber Thiessen. She was the ultimate girl next door, but before Saved by the Bell made her a teen icon, Tiffany was already turning heads in the pageant world, winning Miss Junior America. I bet you didn't know she actually auditioned for the role against Jenny Garth, who later went on to star in Beverly Hills 90210. Who could forget the character we love to laugh at, Screech, played by Dustin Diamond. As Zach's goofy best friend, he played the role so well that many assumed he was just like Screech in real life. But here's something surprising. Dustin was actually 3 to 4 years younger than the rest of the cast. While his co-stars were caught up in off-screen romances and behind-the-scenes drama, Dustin was just a kid navigating a world of teenage chaos while barely out of middle school himself. If you're loving these crazy behind-the-scenes facts, this is only the beginning. Stay tuned for more of the wild stories behind Saved by the Bell, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's keep reliving the best of the 80s and 90s together. Now Lisa Turtle, originally written as a Jewish girl from Long Island, ended up being played by Lark Voorhees, who's obviously black. Lisa's character evolved into a fashion-obsessed wealthy girl, and Lark brought an elegance and charm that fit perfectly. And last but definitely not least, Jessie Spano, played by Elizabeth Berkley. She was the brainy, outspoken feminist of the group. But here's something you might not know. Before landing the role, Elizabeth was actually a trained dancer. Not this type of dancer. I mean this type of dancer. And guess what else? She originally auditioned for Kelly Kapowski. Can you imagine how different the show would have been if they would have kept that casting choice? In the end, fate had the perfect role waiting for her, and she made it unforgettable. Behind the scenes though, it wasn't all kumbaya. The teenage cast was not always considered the best of friends. They were always together and had to be around each other on the good days and the bad days, basically living in a bubble. Eventually, what's bound to happen when you group together a bunch of pubescent teenagers? Everyone dated each other at some point. There were romantic entanglements, jealousy, and of course, lots of drama. And it didn't stop there. Fighting over romantic partners was common. The girls had their catfights, and the guys, they weren't exactly playing nice either. It was high school drama times 10. Now on to the infamous moment that almost ended it all. You remember that episode, Jesse Spano's caffeine overdose? That I'm so excited, I'm so scared scene? Iconic, right?
I'm so excited! I'm so scared!
But here's the real story. Originally, the writers wanted Jesse to get hooked on speed. You heard me right, speed. But the network quickly jumped in and said, that's a bit too much, so they changed it to caffeine pills. The scene was completely over the top, with Jessie crying, singing, and losing it in front of her friends. And the reaction was huge. People talked about it for weeks. In fact, it was so controversial that some thought it would be pulled from airing. Who would have thought that it led to the end of an era show and cancellation of Saved by the Bell? That one instant was a defining moment in the show's history that cemented Jesse Spano as one of the most memorable characters in TV history. So there you have it. Saved by the Bell went from a failed spin-off to a pulp culture phenomenon. But behind all the laughs and high school shenanigans, there was drama, tension, and a whole lot of crazy behind the scenes. Now, what other 80s and 90s TV shows do you want to know more about? Drop a comment below and let's get talking. If you love this deep dive into TV history, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and ring the bell for more insider secrets from your favorite 80s and 90s shows and movies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.